Good morning. The challenge, the requirement is to bear fruit. Very clear. Jesus gives this parable. He unfolds it for every one of us. The gift that we've been given, that He's placed in our heart to give, the circumstances of our lives, everything that comes together that He's given to us, it's for a purpose. And that purpose is to bear fruit. Let's unfold that in just a little bit. First, if you're close enough to me, you might see, well, there's some marks on your face, Father. What's going on there? Well, a little bit of a bar fight. No, just joking. No bar fight. So it's important for us to do this. Every single one of us should be going to our primary physician every single year, and to our dentist, and to other. For me, I am a German and an Irishman. What that means is that I have fair skin, and I do spend some time in the sun. That means I need to go to the dermatologist every year. All right? So a little bit boop, 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 a little uncomfortable for a moment, and then maybe for a couple days, and then everything's good. All right? I know you're thinking, I don't want to go to the doctor. He's going to tell me bad news. She's going to tell me bad news. Whatever. Okay? Go to the doctor. I remember from Looney Tunes. Remember that little song that Bugs Bunny would sing? A stitch in time will save 9, especially with a needle fine. Okay? The point is this. Just a little bit of something, prevention, will help keep you from really a catastrophe. So, important. Every single one of us should be going to the doctor. Like I said, your primary physician, your dentist. For me, that means dermatologist. Okay, are you going to the doctor and taking care of yourself? You've been given the gift of life. We're living in America. You have resources. Every single one of us has resources to go there and to be cared for at the doctor. Do it. Now, this past week was a good week for me. It was a busy week. Father Tony was away, and that meant I had 10 out of the 11 daily masses. I had 5 out of the 6 weekend masses. I had 4 funerals, and I had a wedding in the middle of the week. And I had a whole bunch of stuff happen at the diocese with my job at the Vicar of Clergy. That's a gift. It's a gift of ministry, and every single thing that I was involved with, I am grateful for. But that's also a reason why I need to take vacation that is available to me. Ever since I became a pastor, so priest 15 years, pastor for 12, I haven't taken all of my vacation. This year, my goal, take all of your vacation that's available to you. By the way, I can't turn it in and have it transfer to the next year, nor can I get money, for vacation that I don't take. If I don't use it, it goes away. And that's what's happened for the last 12 years. This year, my goal is to take every single day of vacation, in part because of weeks like this past one. Beautiful, wonderful, in a sense of real ministry, of something that's true meaning. But it is important, because otherwise the candle will go out. That's true for every single one of you, for us. If you don't take care of yourself, the candle is going to go out. So you have to have some balance. A couple weeks ago, I got to go on vacation, just during the week, with my best friend from seminary, Father John Schnobrick. He's a priest of Burlington, Vermont. We went to Lake Skaneateles. Parishioner had a house right there on the lake, and so this was the same place where I had shared with you a couple years ago, where we took that zero gravity chair and I tried to throw it up there, and he fell into the water, and I thought maybe it'll float. It didn't. All right, boom, right down to the depths. Father John and I are out in the middle of the lake, and we're on kayaks, and we're paddling, and I'm saying, "Hey, John, does it look like my canoe is a little, or my, kayak's a little low?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I just thought that was because you're fat." And I was like, "I don't know, I think I'm taking on water." He goes, "You're definitely taking on water." I was like, "We better get back." And I said, 1, 2, 3, and I sunk right there in the middle of the lake. So I get out of the kayak, and I turn it over, and I was like, "John, come over here." And I put the kayak on upside down, and we emptied it. And so John argued that we would tow it the rest of the way. I said, no, I can get back in the kayak. And he said, "No, we're towing it." And I said, "I have canoeing merit badge." And he just laughed at me. He was like, "I drive a Dodge Stratus." He was like, "I have this, this authority here that because I had a merit badge that, personally, I was right, all right? But he wouldn't let me near his kayak. So I had to climb up on my own kayak, get in it on myself, and then we kayaked back, and it was like 2 or 3 strides right before we got to the dock. Boom, I sank again. But we were all right. Everything was fine. It's important that you get away with some friends, with family, that you get refreshed. Because if you don't, then you're not going to be at your best. And God does demand from us our best. So we need to take into consideration what that means and what we have to do in order to give our best. Now, in the ebb and flow of the liturgy, and this is one of the reasons why we have to come to Mass every single week. Some weeks we're really, it's the sting of the conscience. Other weeks it's a building up, a comfort. This week, it's a challenge. It's kind of a push from behind. By the way, it's never a push down. It's never shaming. Shaming says you're not good enough. You're not doing what you should. You're simply not measuring up. You can feel the difference between shame and guilt. Shame pushes somebody down and rivets them. Guilt is a light that says, "Look, this is what's going on. See," and it almost pushes you forward. And this is the challenge that's offered to us. How is your life bearing fruit? It's an open-ended question first. I'm going to clarify that, but let me just ask you that. How do you respond right now if I just say that? Because that's what the gospel says. I'm going to take this vineyard, which is us. The vineyard is the house of Israel, which is the chosen people, the Jewish people, but then translated into the Christian people. I'm going to take it away and I'm going to give it to somebody else because you're not bearing fruit. So the question is, and again, not about shaming, this is about inspiration. Jesus is speaking in hyperbole here. He's trying to get your attention and my attention. He's drawing us in. And he's saying, there's fruit in your life. What is it? Okay, let me clarify. So you've had the invitation to think about, well, what is the fruit in my life? Now we're going to clarify with 3 different areas. 1, our relationship with God. Is your relationship with God bearing fruit? In other words, your prayer life. Are you going to Mass each weekend? I know we have the COVID challenge, but generally speaking, are you going to Mass every weekend? Are you going to confession, exercising courage and humility, confessing your sins at least once a year, but if you're growing in holiness, you're doing it much more than that. How is that? How are you growing in your relationship with God? Your relationship with Jesus Christ. That's one pillar. Second pillar, the fundamentals of Christianity. Let's just take two of them. One, are you living out the element of turning the other cheek? I'm not talking about the culture's understanding of turn the other cheek, which is, by the way, Christians are doormats. Okay, oh, turn the other cheek. There you are. I get to wipe my feet on you and do whatever I want because you have to turn the other cheek. Survey says, okay, that's not what turn the other cheek means. Turn the other cheek means that there's a lot of times where you have to run. Turn the other cheek means there's a lot of other times where you have to fight. But turn the other cheek actually means that there are times where you have to stand your ground and you have to act in a way that's so intelligent and so filled with volition that you cause the people around you to rise to a whole nother level of thinking. Who in your life challenges you in this way? This is not like a once a year type of thing. This is daily. This is what we are, this is who we are as Christians. We turn the other cheek. We walk into a situation, we have an understanding of it. We know I'm not running. I'm not gonna fight. The wise thing here is to turn the other cheek. That is to say, I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to act in such a way that I'm going to draw these people in and lift their understanding by the way that I speak. Who in your life? Is it somebody at work? Maybe an immediate family member? Maybe an extended family member? Okay. We have to turn the other cheek. The other fundamental that I'll point out in this second pillar is forgiveness. Are we people who forgive? In other words, we immediately realize this person has offended me. This person has created a loss in my life. I acknowledge it. I see the loss. I grieve it. In other words, I acknowledge it. I walk through that. This is a real loss for me. And I forgive my brother or my sister from my heart. We just had that 2 weeks ago. Unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart, then you will not be forgiven. So these two fundamentals are challenges to us. Where's the fruit in your life? Forgiveness or resentment? Turning the other cheek or something of the culture. So again, how's our relationship with God in our prayer life, in our mass attendance, in our coming to the sacrament of reconciliation? Are we forgiving? Are we turning the other cheek? The last thing is generosity. Are you bearing fruit? Is your life bearing fruit in generosity? From the scriptures, it's the widow, the orphan, and the alien. So in that particular time, the biblical times, the widow, orphan, and alien, they had no one. I mean, there was no Catholic charities in that time. There's no one to rush to their aid. They were destitute. And it was only those who would come forward, those who loved God, that would give a portion of their own goodness to these people. Today, we have some bookends to the widow, the orphan, and the alien. One is the unborn. Are we standing for the dignity of the human person, for those from the moment of conception? The other is that, currently in our culture, and we're seeing this more and more in in the laws that are formulating throughout the different states, physician-assisted suicide, and euthanasia. You know, Grandpa just isn't productive anymore. It's time to put a pillow to his face. Okay? It's kind of funny to say because it's idiotic. And yet that's formulating in the actual political arena. Who's going to speak up? I will. How about you? Will you speak up and defend our elderly who have the dignity because they've laid down their life, their whole life, and right now, all they can do is bless. And by the way, that's beautiful. Or the unborn who have no voice whatsoever. And everybody in between. I mean, the poor, the oppressed that we give from the generosity of our hearts. Yeah, I mean, hey, today is a challenging day. And it's not always like that. There's times where we really are built up. We shouldn't feel any shame. This is not about shame. This is about what St. Irenaeus says. The glory of God is the person fully alive. And what God places in our hearts, He deeply desires for us to give, because that's when we'll be fully alive. And His challenge today is in fruit. How about your life? Relationship with God, fundamentals of Christianity, generosity. I don't know. It's a tough day for me. I got to really look and be honest. Think about this during the week. It's a challenge to really move forward. And the challenge is this: are you bearing fruit in your life?